lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today to talk about some UK covers that I absolutely love. If you didn't know, this is a 7 on Sunday. We'll link the 7 on Sunday Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out and you can probably participate in a topic in the future if you want to. It's hosted by me. We have a good time over there. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about some UK book covers that I absolutely love as opposed to the US book covers for these specific books. In my next 7 on Sunday video, I will be talking about some US covers and how I love them compared to the UK covers. So stay tuned for that. Right now, I'm just going to be talking about my faves in the UK market. Technically, books that are being published in Australia tend to have the UK cover, and in the very rare occasion we actually receive the US cover for this specific book or specific series. And yeah, that is actually a very rare occurrence. It's usually UK market book covers that we usually receive. So without further ado, I'm going to show you just pretty much what I prefer from the UK market for these specific books. Let's start off with a book series that both covers really do look okay. Like, they do look good. I think when you see them in person, they both look very beautiful, but I prefer the UK cover over the US cover. That, my friends, is the UK first edition of Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which looks like this. I love the way it looks. It's just so blue and has like this little gold foiling, and I'm also very much in love with the mixture of the different shades of blue. Every single bit about this cover is beautiful. And then we've got the US cover, which doesn't look bad. It technically looks worse in photo. It looks so much better in person because it's metallic, and it's not really just yellow and blue. It's more like a gold and light blue. It's not as good as the UK cover in my opinion, but it still is a pretty decent cover. And if this was the only cover to choose from, cool, I'd accept it. I'd still buy the book. But the UK cover, in my mind, is easily the prettiest cover out of the two. It is the cover that I preferred. It's the cover that I purchased to begin with. Even so, that I think a lot of people agree with me to the point that even for the US paperback of Strange the Dreamer, they literally changed the cover design to the UK cover. I mean, the new UK cover for Strange the Dreamer is horrible. We do not talk about that one. I'm absolutely purely just talking about the first edition that literally distinguished the series in my mind. It's just so beautiful. It really is. And I have no coherent thoughts about this cover. It screams the story of Strange the Dreamer, in my personal opinion. Alright, the next book cover designs I'm going to be talking about are the Mortal Instruments UK covers, which I don't think are going to continue. If you guys don't know this, these are the ones that I own. I did order the US editions of this book series, but it's been over 6 months. They even shipped out a replacement. It still hasn't come to me yet. Like, the whole border closure thing has just been a real bum. I do prefer the UK covers. The reason why I do is because their color scheme is amazing, but also the art style is really cool as well. And I know they look different from the rest of the Shadowhunters books, but they are definitely a good collector's item, even if you want the rest of your Shadowhunters books to match. But I originally purchased them to replace my old Shadowhunters paperbacks because I really did not like them in the paperbacks. I think they do look better in their foily US covers. In hardback, all the spines align, even though like the Mortal Instruments covers in particular do not look the best. All of the foily covers, I can't argue with that. They still look good in that way. But if I was to not focus on the series aesthetic matching, I'd say the UK paperback editions of the Mortal Instruments series look amazing, and they were also designed, I think, by someone who designed some of Coldplay's album covers, which is really cool. Good on Cassandra Clare for getting that artist. And I was really hoping that at least the Infernal Devices would follow in that cover style, but unfortunately there hasn't been a continuation of this cover style for any single one of the Shadowhunters books, and it kind of really saddens me. I know that the newer ones, the ones with the characters on the spines, have had a continuation, even with the Dark Artifices. Yeah, they all look cool on the shelf, but at the end of the day, I kind of don't want those ones. You know, I'm happy for people if they like the designs of those covers. Good on them. Alright, the next one I have to talk about is the Stylus C cover. Now, here's the UK edition and here's the US edition. Now, both of them kind of look good, but both contrast from each other. So one looks very colorful and very mesmerizing, whereas the other one looks a little bit plain. I don't mind the plain, but I prefer the colorful and mesmerizing. And now both covers are technically discontinued. I don't know if they're still printing the hardbacks of both editions. They're now coming coming out with the paperback. The Stylus C UK paperback still has some similar elements to the mesmerizing colorfulness of the hardback, but I heard that they changed the design for the US paperback. I heard that it's just a little bit even more bland. Yeah, good on them. If I had to debate and figure out which one of the two I'd prefer, it's definitely hands down the UK editions. They just look beautiful. Once again, I think similarly to Strange the Dreamer, I love certain shades of blue, and I think this book delivers. Now, I'm gonna be talking about another cover range, and we're gonna be talking about the Haruki Murakami UK covers. I love these covers so much because similarly to Victoria Schwab, it has the white, red, and black aesthetic as like some of her books do. I just like the whole aesthetic of them matching, but also them having an icon on their spines and an icon on their covers, and them just being like simplistic. I love how an author's range can stand out in a bookstore so much. That is kind of how I first noticed that Haruki Murakami was an author, essentially. Like, I just go to the bookstore and I just see his books and I'm like, oh, wow, they look intriguing. Someone finally recommended a book to me, and so I picked it up. Whether you read Murakami or whether you don't read Murakami, the UK covers are so striking, whereas the US covers kind of also have a similar feel to them in a sense that this author has a specific aesthetic and that's what they're following, but at the very same time, I prefer the UK aesthetic. Even though I do like color in my covers, as I did say, the UK aesthetic is just a little bit more striking and it's a lot more distinguishing. But the US covers are pretty cool as well. Like, if I had more shelf space, I would collect both ranges, but I can't. The next book covers that I've got to pin against each other and choose the UK cover over is The Power by Naomi Alderman. In this situation, both covers are pretty cool. So this is the UK and this is the US. The US cover is cool, but it doesn't stand out to me. As I mentioned in my previous point, I love it when covers are striking and they stand out, and this one does it. But also some of her other UK covers, like the Disobedience has also followed with the same design. Lessons have also, like, just a few of Naomi Alderman's books. I still haven't read anything by Naomi Alderman. I own them on my bookshelves, and as soon as the UK cover of The Power came out, I think the publisher was like, we like this cover, so we kind of want to market the rest of her books in the same vein. I think that that was a very smart decision because similarly to Haruki Murakami, it helps distinguish who the author is, and it's kind of a very good and striking look for anybody who is looking to pick up one of their books based on their aesthetic, or is just wanting to know if the author has written more books, and they're all similarly designed. That's pretty cool. Whereas with the US edition, to me personally, it just doesn't come off as striking. I mean, it still looks very powerful. There's literally like lightning in a hand on the cover, but it just does not compare to the UK covers, in my opinion. Now we're also going to be talking about the Rebel of the Sands series by Alwyn Hamilton. Both the US and the UK covers, to begin with, had the same design, and then they changed their designs for the US cover editions. I can't say that the cover change is bad for the US editions, because I think that it's cool that there's representation on there, especially because this is kind of an Arabic inspired fantasy. I'm Middle Eastern myself, so I love to see that representation. But at the end of the day, I do prefer the UK editions because they still had the same kind of Middle Eastern feel. So like, why fix it when it isn't broken? That's something that I'm trying to understand. That's why I prefer the UK editions. I don't have anything against the US editions, it's just, it wasn't broken. Why did they have to fix it? I do love the color schemes of the UK editions. I would have liked to see someone on the cover, yeah, for sure. Like, the UK editions are a lot more striking, but the US covers, I think, still have some very important representation. I just think that those covers could have been used for a series where the book cover wasn't already selected for the book series. Speaking of Middle Eastern fantasy, I am going to be talking about the Wrath and the Dawn book covers. I like representation on both of the covers because at the very end of the day, they kind of have a very similar aesthetic. Here's the UK cover that I prefer, and here's the US edition. I mean, they also have those random plain silk covers with the text on it. I think this one, in the design department, they did a really good job. Like, it's just the perfect aesthetic. It doesn't look like the person's exclusively doing a photo shoot, even though they're looking into the camera, they're kind of posing. It still kind of feels a bit more organic. Whereas in this situation, this looks like a photo shoot. It's not really organic in my personal opinion, even though Shazi does look fine here. And then the plain text cover, I wouldn't want to spend my money on a plain text cover when I could buy this one. It just feels like a little bit more of an organic Middle Eastern storybook cover. So yeah, that's my personal preference. I love this cover a lot. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. Let me know if you have very similar opinions in the book covers that I've selected here, or let me know if you actually prefer the opposite. I'd actually like to invite this conversation because a lot of us have different preferences, and I think that's the really cool thing about being in the book community. Go out of our way to purchase an edition from another country, and I think that that's kind of cool. Like, we do get the choice and the selection at the end of the day. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already joined the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at gswizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also at Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it into double. Started out with half and I flipped it into double.